storytelling and word and text painting in music, particularly in the music of North Carolinian composer Kenneth Frazelle. I want to play some musical excerpts for you, sing a little bit, and talk about how he uses the text and the piano part to portray the story or the text that he set. So I want to look at first this is Appalachian Songbook #1 by Kenneth Frazelle. And there is a song in the beginning called Barbara Allen. It is an English tune, believe it or not, that made its way over to the Appalachian region of North Carolina. And in this, he does something interesting. The first words of the piece are, "'Twas in the merry month of May." But unlike other settings by Quilter and Benjamin Britten, instead of portraying Mary in the music, he actually portrays it as a way of foreshadowing what's going to happen later in the text. This song is being narrated, and then it also comes from the perspective of the title character, Barbara Allen, in that a guy in the village named William, he dies on the day that this song takes place. And so a lot of what he does in the music foreshadows that moment where she says that sweet William died today, and then she makes the declaration that I shall die tomorrow. And so he starts it like this. So at the moment where he talks about the merry month of May, instead of staying with intonality, he goes, instead of playing F sharp and D sharp, it's F natural and D natural in a tonality that resembles E major. And so then later in the piece, he talks about, the text says, "At William's grave there sprung a rose, from Barbara's grave a briar, and they twined and tied a lover's knot." And at that point in the music, you hear these quintuplets, and then a lot of what you could call crunch chords or dissonance. Chords really close together, resembling the union of the briar and the rose that grew from both of their graves, because Barbara ends up dying in the end of the story. And so as we explored a little more, we go to a story that originates from Kentucky and Virginia. It's up for debate, but Old Joe Clark, he was known as quite the lecherous character, in that he liked to sleep with other men's wives quite a bit. And this text is supposedly written by the boyfriend of one of his daughters, who happened to hate him quite a bit, after Old Joe Clark was killed by the husband of one of the women that he was sleeping with. And so this is kind of telling his story, and to show the impetuousness and the anger of the narrator talking about his own wife, Frazelle uses this figure throughout the whole thing, pretty much. It acts as a drone and it changes tonality. And so it goes like this a little bit. Never care for Old Joe Clark, here's the reason why. He goes around the countryside stealing good men's wives. While his colossal dogged wife standing in the door, shoes and stockings in her hands, her clothes are on the floor. Fare you well, Old Joe Clark, you live by day. Fare you well, Old Joe Clark, you better somewhat the humor of the story from the perspective of the narrator. Then in the song Naomi Wise, he tells a North Carolinian story. Naomi Wise, she was a young girl of about 16 or 17 in Randolph County, and she was sleeping with a married man whose wife eventually died in the course of their affair, and Naomi turns up pregnant. And so John Lewis decides to trick her to come see me, and I'm going to give you money and things to take care of yourself and the baby. But instead he says, you know what, let's go get married. So he tells her, jump on my horse and we're going to go into town and I will make you my bride so we won't be a disgrace. But instead he takes her to Deep River, which is a real river here in North Carolina, and he drowns her. And this song is telling the story of that. And in the very beginning, the song has music to describe moments, but it also helps describe characters in a way. At the very beginning, there is kind of a narrator mode. It's just a sustained chord. I'll tell you a story about poor Naomi Wise, and how she got deluded by John Lewis's lies. And then the song starts and you get a rhythm going. He told her to meet him at Adam's Spring. He said he'd bring money and other fine things. And he uses that, and then later, after John Lewis tells her to get on the horse, Frazelle uses these very close chords and syncopation to describe the riding of the horse. All throughout that moment of the piece, while maintaining the basic melody of the song. And so later, John Lewis drowns Naomi. And